The signal came on an ordinary Tuesday. Dr. Elena Santos sat in the control room of the Deep Space Listening Array, her eyes fixed on readings that shouldn't exist. After 15 years of scanning the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, the array had picked up something extraordinary, a signal that defied natural explanation. "Director Chen," she called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You need to see this." The array's director, Dr. James Chen, appeared behind her workstation within moments. His eyes widened as he processed the data streaming across her screens. The signal was unlike anything in their extensive database, a complex pattern of quantum fluctuations that suggested technological origins far beyond current human understanding. Or at least, what the world believed to be current human understanding. Within hours, the signal's discovery triggered a cascade of carefully planned protocols. In secure facilities beneath the Mariana Trench and deep within the Antarctic ice, systems that had lain dormant for decades hummed to life. The world's governments maintained their usual routines, but in hidden chambers and classified bunkers, humanity's true leaders gathered. Admiral Sarah Way stood before the Global Defense Council, her uniform bearing no insignia of rank or nation. "The Proxima Protocol has been initiated," she announced to the assembled representatives. "The signal matches all predicted patterns for a Class A technological civilization. Based on its characteristics, we estimate their arrival within 72 hours." The council chamber remained silent. For 50 years, they had prepared for this moment. While the public saw a world of nations competing in a space race that barely reached Mars, the truth was far different. The discovery of ancient ruins on Europa in 2157 had changed everything, warning of advanced civilizations that saw younger races as resources to be harvested or eliminated. "All defense platforms are operational," Admiral Way continued, bringing up a holographic display of the solar system. Thousands of points of light flickered into view, satellites, stations, and weapons platforms that appeared as simple communications relays or space debris to outside observers. "The deception protocol remains in effect. All public channels will continue to show normal activity." Across Earth's surface and throughout the solar system, humanity's greatest architectural feat continued: the illusion of technological mediocrity. Civilian space programs struggled with primitive rockets while quantum ships patrolled the Kuiper Belt. Public scientists celebrated small advances in fusion research, while zero-point energy powered hidden cities beneath the oceans. The signal grew stronger. In orbit above Earth, Commander David Rodriguez supervised the transformation of the International Space Station. What appeared to the world as an aging research platform shed its careful disguise, revealing banks of quantum sensors and defensive arrays that had been hiding in plain sight for decades. "All stations, maintain emissions control," he ordered through the quantum-encrypted network. "Remember your training. We are a primitive species struggling with basic spaceflight. Nothing more." The first visual contact came exactly as predicted. The alien vessel emerged from what appeared to be a fold in spacetime, its crystalline structure dwarfing anything humanity publicly admitted to building. It was beautiful and terrible, a masterwork of engineering that spoke of civilization thousands of years more advanced than Earth appeared to be. More ships followed, emerging from the spatial distortion like predators from the depths. Their formation spoke of absolute confidence, of countless successful first contacts and conquests. They made no attempt to hide their approach or mask their technological superiority. Why should they? According to every scan and observation, they were approaching a civilization that had barely reached its own moon, whose most advanced weapons would be useless against even their weakest shields. The aliens' first transmission reached Earth on all frequencies, translated in real time by AIs that had spent decades preparing for this moment. "People of Earth," the message began, "we are the consortium of allied worlds. Your civilization has been deemed worthy of evaluation for potential membership. Prepare to receive our representatives. Resistance or hostility will be met with appropriate response." In her command center deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Wei allowed herself a small smile. The aliens' approach, their formation, their message. Everything matched the predictions derived from the Europa ruins. They were following a protocol developed over countless first contacts with developing civilizations. All commands, she broadcast through the quantum network, maintain current status. Let them come close. Let them see exactly what they expect to see. She paused, watching as the alien fleet moved past the orbit of Mars. Let them think they understand exactly what humanity is capable of. In public observatories and civilian space centers, astronomers and scientists reacted with appropriate awe and fear at the approach of such advanced vessels. Behind the scenes, humanity's true defenders watched through sensors far more sophisticated than anything the aliens could detect, analyzing every detail of their supposed superiors. The game had begun. Humanity's greatest deception was about to be tested against an interstellar power that had no idea they were walking into a carefully prepared trap. The only question was, how long would Earth maintain the charade before revealing its true nature? The consortium's diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere with calculated grace, its crystalline structure gleaming in the sunlight. Below, in what appeared to be a hastily prepared landing zone outside the United Nations headquarters, world leaders gathered to meet their interstellar visitors. News cameras broadcasted the historic moment to billions of watching humans, their feeds carefully managed by AI systems that had spent decades practicing this very deception. Deep beneath the Indian Ocean, Admiral Wei watched the proceedings through quantum-linked sensors. "Status of the consortium fleet?" she asked, her voice calm despite the tension filling the command center. "Maintaining high orbit, Admiral," Lieutenant Patel reported. "Their weapons systems are powered but inactive. They're deploying observation satellites disguised as communication relays." We nodded. "Let them. Each one will tell them exactly what we want them to see." The consortium's ambassador, a tall humanoid figure with iridescent skin, stepped from their vessel with the confidence of someone who had performed this ceremony 1,000 times before. Their delegation moved with practiced precision, every gesture and word carefully chosen to demonstrate their technological and cultural superiority. "People of Earth," the ambassador began, their words automatically translated by what appeared to be an advanced device on their collar. "We bring greetings from the 5,000 worlds of the consortium. Your civilization has shown remarkable progress for its age. With our guidance, you could achieve in decades what might otherwise take centuries." The gathered human leaders responded with appropriate awe and gratitude, playing their roles perfectly. None of them revealed that the neural implants hidden behind their ears were analyzing every word, every gesture, feeding data to quantum computers that had spent years preparing for this encounter. In orbit, the consortium's observation satellites continued their survey of Earth's defensive capabilities. They found exactly what they expected: primitive missile systems, basic energy shields, and early-stage antimatter research, all carefully crafted illusions maintained by humanity's most sophisticated AI systems. The deception held for exactly 3 days. The first crack in the consortium's confidence came when one of their stealth probes, designed to be undetectable to primitive human technology, disappeared without a trace near Jupiter. The second probe vanished near Mars. The third never made it past the Moon. In the diplomatic compound established for the consortium's delegation, the ambassador received reports of these losses with growing concern. Their scans showed nothing capable of detecting, let alone neutralizing, their most advanced surveillance technology. Yet something was systematically eliminating their attempts to map Earth's true capabilities. The consortium's response came swiftly. A battle group of 3 ships broke formation from the main fleet, moving to investigate the disappearances. As they approached the Moon's orbit, their sensors detected nothing unusual, until the very fabric of space seemed to ripple. The lunar surface shimmered, and what had appeared to be natural crater formations transformed. Quantum shields collapsed, revealing massive installations that had remained hidden for decades. Before the consortium ships could react, they found themselves surrounded by defensive platforms that simply hadn't existed moments before. Admiral Wei's voice echoed through the quantum network. Initiate protocol revelation. Let's show our guests what humanity is truly capable of. Across the solar system, humanity's carefully maintained illusion began to fall away. The International Space Station's primitive exterior dissolved, revealing a state-of-the-art command center. Defunct satellites transformed into weapon platforms. What had appeared to be fields of space debris coalesced into defensive formations that no primitive civilization should have been capable of creating. The consortium battle group attempted to retreat, their crystalline ships accelerating with impossible grace. They made it halfway back to their fleet before Earth's gravity itself seemed to reach out and hold them in place. Quantum tethers engage. Lieutenant Petal reported. The ships are secured. The ambassador's transmission came immediately, their practiced diplomatic tone replaced by genuine shock. What is the meaning of this deception? Your civilization cannot possibly possess such technology. Admiral Wei opened a direct channel to the consortium fleet. Ambassador, I think it's time we had an honest conversation about humanity's capabilities. Your assumption that technological advancement must follow a predictable path was your first mistake. Your belief that any civilization different from your own must be inferior was your second. The main consortium fleet moved to attack positions, their weapons charging. Hundreds of crystalline ships formed up in battle formations that had conquered countless worlds. We smiled. And your third mistake, believing that what you've seen so far represents the full extent of our abilities. Lieutenant Patel, initiate full defensive revelation. Let's show the consortium why humanity has survived every extinction-level event our planet has thrown at us. The space around Earth rippled as quantum fields collapsed, revealing humanity's true defensive network. What the consortium had believed to be a primitive civilization barely capable of reaching its own moon was about to demonstrate why appearances could be deceiving. The consortium fleet's first volley of plasma torpedoes never reached their targets. Halfway to Earth's defense grid, they simply ceased to exist, caught in quantum fields that bent the very fabric of space-time. In the silence that followed, humanity launched its counterattack. From the depths of the asteroid belt, ships that had masqueraded as mining stations shed their disguises. The Neptune Research Station, long dismissed as a failed attempt at deep space colonization, revealed itself as a fully operational military base. Even the much-ridiculed space tourism vessels transformed into sleek combat ships that moved with impossible precision. Strike Groups Alpha through Delta, you are cleared to engage. Admiral Wei commanded through the quantum network. Remember your training. Show them what happens when humanity stops pretending. The Earth fleet moved like nothing the consortium had ever encountered. Instead of the rigid formations favored by most spacefaring races, human ships flowed like schools of fish, their movements guided by both advanced AI and the neural-linked reflexes of their crews. Each vessel acted both independently and as part of a greater whole, creating patterns of attack that seemed to defy conventional military doctrine. In her flagship, the ETS Nightshade, Captain Maya Rodriguez watched the battle unfold through her neural interface. The quantum computers processed combat data faster than any organic brain could comprehend, but humanity had learned to merge the calculating precision of machines with the creative intuition of the human mind. They're trying to establish a standard combat grid, she reported to Admiral Wei. Their tactical algorithms are still treating us like a primitive force that just got lucky with advanced technology. Then let's show them how humanity fights when we're not holding back, Wei responded. Execute Maneuver Hydra. The human fleet scattered in what appeared to be complete chaos. The consortium ships, their tactical computers attempting to predict traditional attack patterns, found themselves firing at empty space as Earth's vessels seemed to appear and disappear at random points across the battlefield. But it wasn't random. Nothing about humanity's response was random. Decades of preparing for this moment had produced something unique in the galaxy, a military force that combined the best aspects of human unpredictability with technological advancement that had been refined in absolute secrecy. Each apparent retreat was a setup, each scattered formation a trap waiting to be sprung. The consortium's first heavy cruiser fell to a technique they had never encountered before. 3 human ships, moving in perfect synchronization, created a triangular field of overlapping quantum distortions. The alien vessel's advanced shields, designed to repel any conventional attack, offered no protection as the space within their formation simply folded in on itself. "Target disabled," Lieutenant Patil announced. "Their power grid is offline, life support systems switching to emergency backup. Rescue drones are moving to evacuate the crew." This was another aspect of combat that seemed to confuse the consortium. Humanity's insistence on saving the crews of disabled enemy vessels. What they saw as tactical weakness was in fact one of Earth's greatest strengths. Each rescued alien crew member provided not just intelligence, but proof that humanity was not the primitive violent species they had assumed. The battle continued to unfold across the solar system. The consortium's numerical advantage meant nothing against an enemy that seemed to treat the laws of physics as polite suggestions rather than absolute rules. Their attempts to adapt were met with new tactics that seemed to anticipate their every move. "They're falling back to their secondary positions," Captain Rodriguez reported. "Their formation is beginning to break down. I think they're starting to realize this isn't going to be the easy conquest they expected." Admiral Wei nodded, watching through her neural interface as the battle played out exactly as humanity's simulations had predicted. "Transfer quantum targeting data to Strike Group Echo. Let's show them our long-range capabilities." From their hidden bases in the Kuiper Belt, humanity's most advanced warships revealed themselves. These vessels, their very existence kept secret from all but the highest levels of Earth's leadership, represented the true extent of human military technology. They had never been used in actual combat before this moment, but decades of simulations had prepared their crews for exactly this scenario. The consortium fleet detected the new threats too late. Quantum-tipped missiles, capable of bypassing conventional spacetime, struck with devastating precision. Ships that had conquered hundreds of worlds found their most advanced defensive systems useless against weapons that operated on principles their science had never considered. "Multiple contacts disabled," Lieutenant Patil reported. "Their command and control network is showing signs of complete breakdown. They're trying to regroup, but their coordination is failing." In the diplomatic compound on Earth, the consortium ambassador watched in disbelief as their invincible fleet was systematically dismantled by a species they had dismissed as barely space-capable. Each transmission from their ships painted a picture that contradicted everything they had believed about technological progression and military doctrine. The humans weren't just winning. They were doing it with a level of sophistication that suggested decades of preparation specifically for this moment. Every tactic the consortium attempted was met with a counter that seemed specifically designed to exploit its weaknesses. "Send to all remaining ships," Admiral Wei commanded, her voice carrying across the quantum network. "The consortium now has a choice. You can continue this battle, and we will continue to disable your vessels while protecting your crews. Or you can stand down, and we can have the honest discussion about humanity's place in the galaxy that you should have initiated from the beginning." The silence that followed her transmission was broken only by the continued reports of consortium ships being systematically disabled by Earth's forces. They had come expecting to find a primitive civilization, ready for conquest or absorption. Instead, they had discovered that humanity had spent decades preparing for this exact moment. And they still hadn't seen everything humanity was capable of. The consortium's surviving command staff gathered in their flagship's strategic center, attempting to make sense of their unprecedented situation. Their holographic displays showed the status of their fleet. Nearly 40% of their ships disabled, their crews safely evacuated by human rescue vessels. The remaining ships maintained defensive positions, but their once perfect formation was riddled with gaps and uncertainties. Admiral Wei's voice echoed through their command channel again, but this time it carried something new, streaming data that their systems automatically began to process. "We're transmitting our complete sensor logs of the battle so far," she announced. "I believe you'll find them enlightening." The consortium's tactical officers stared in disbelief as the data revealed the true extent of humanity's capabilities. Every feigned retreat, every apparent defensive gap had been carefully calculated. The humans hadn't just beaten them. They had choreographed the entire battle. "Impossible," the consortium's fleet commander muttered, watching simulations of human ships moving in patterns that their tactical computers insisted couldn't exist. Their technology, their coordination. They'd been planning this for years. Decades, actually, way corrected. Since we found the ruins on Europa. The ones your predecessors left as a warning to primitive species about the consortium's approach to galactic civilization. The revelation hit the consortium leadership like a physical blow. Those ruins had been planted over 3 centuries ago, designed to frighten developing civilizations into submission with tales of the consortium's power. Instead, humanity had used them as a blueprint, spending decades preparing specifically for this encounter. But the true psychological impact came from what happened next. Throughout the solar system, Earth's quantum network began broadcasting on frequencies the consortium had believed impossible to access. The transmissions reached not just their military channels, but the secure communications networks connecting their 5,000 worlds. "People of the consortium," Wei's voice echoed across their civilization, "you're about to receive data packets containing evidence of something your leadership has hidden from you. The truth about how many civilizations have been unnecessarily subjugated or destroyed in the name of proper technological development." The consortium ambassador's face paled. "You couldn't possibly have access to those records." "The Europa ruins contain more than warnings," Wei replied. "They contained access codes, communication protocols, and most importantly, the location of your central data archives. While you watched our primitive rockets and satellites, our quantum infiltration systems were mapping your entire civilization. Across the consortium's worlds, the carefully maintained narrative of benevolent guidance began to crumble. The data packets revealed centuries of manipulation, of artificial technological barriers imposed on developing civilizations, of resources and innovations suppressed to maintain the consortium's position of power. In their command center, the consortium's leaders watched helplessly as their own people began questioning everything they had been taught about their civilization's role in the galaxy. The humans hadn't just defeated their fleet. They had exposed the philosophical foundation of their society as a carefully constructed lie. "Your civilization's greatest weakness," Wei continued, her voice now carrying the hint of sympathy, "was your belief that technological progress must follow a single predictable path, that any species developing differently must be inferior or wrong. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt, to find unique solutions, to progress in ways that other species might never consider." The quantum network hummed with activity as more data flowed through channels the consortium had believed secure. Their attempts to block the transmissions failed as human systems demonstrated mastery over communication technologies that shouldn't have existed. "We don't want war," White assured them. "We never did. What we want is to break this cycle of artificial advancement and enforced conformity. The galaxy is vast enough for many paths of development, many approaches to civilization." As if to emphasize her point, the human fleet began a new series of maneuvers. Ships that had been positioned for combat smoothly transitioned into a formation that was neither threatening nor defensive, a display of control that spoke volumes about their true capabilities. "Your crews are safe," White continued. "Your disabled ships can be repaired. But the choice you face now is more important than the outcome of any battle. Will you continue to enforce your vision of proper development on other civilizations, or will you accept that different doesn't mean inferior?" The consortium's command staff sat in stunned silence, watching as their own civilian populations began demanding answers to questions they had never expected to face. The humans hadn't just defeated them militarily. They had undermined the very foundations of their society's belief in its own superiority. And they had done it all without destroying a single consortium ship or taking a single alien life. This demonstration of power combined with restraint, of technological superiority, tempered by ethical considerations, forced the consortium to confront an uncomfortable truth. Perhaps they had been wrong about more than just humanity's capabilities. The Great Hall of the United Nations headquarters had been transformed. Where once Earth's leaders had played at division and technological limitations, now they sat united before representatives from across the consortium's worlds. The crystalline architecture of the alien delegation contrasted sharply with the seemingly primitive human construction, a final reminder of appearances versus reality. Admiral Wei stood at the central podium, her uniform now bearing the insignia of Earth's combined defense force. Behind her, holographic displays showed the solar system, where human ships helped repair disabled consortium vessels while maintaining their defensive grid. For centuries, she began, the consortium has enforced its vision of proper technological development across the galaxy. Today, that changes, not through conquest or destruction, but through understanding. The consortium's Grand Chancellor, who had arrived 3 days after the battle, shifted uncomfortably in their seat. The data revelations had sparked widespread reforms across their civilization, with populations demanding new approaches to interstellar relations. What humanity has demonstrated, Wei continued, is not just technological advancement, but a fundamental truth about civilization itself. Progress doesn't follow a single path. Innovation cannot be confined to predetermined steps, and most importantly, different does not mean inferior. Behind her, the displays shifted to show Earth's hidden cities, quantum laboratories beneath the oceans, advanced research facilities inside hollow mountains, and spacecraft construction yards disguised as asteroid mining operations. Each revelation drew gasps from the alien delegates, not just at their sophistication, but at how completely humanity had hidden their true capabilities. But our greatest achievement, Wei smiled, wasn't our technology. It was our understanding that true strength lies not in domination, but in diversity. Each of our advances came from embracing different perspectives, from allowing innovation to flow naturally rather than following prescribed paths. The quantum network hummed as data streamed to every corner of known space. Humanity revealed the full extent of their scientific knowledge. Breakthrough technologies developed in secret theoretical advances that challenged conventional understanding, and most importantly, the methodologies that had led to these discoveries. We could have used our capabilities to establish a new dominion, Wei acknowledged. Instead, we offer something different, partnership. True partnership, based not on imposed hierarchies of advancement, but on mutual respect and the understanding that every civilization has something unique to offer. The consortium's ambassador, who had watched their mighty fleet rendered helpless by human ingenuity, stood to address the assembly. We came believing we would find another primitive species in need of guidance. Instead, we found teachers. The question now is, what would you have us learn? Wei's response came with the directness that had become humanity's trademark. Learn to question your assumptions. Learn to value differences rather than suppress them. Most importantly, learn that the galaxy is too vast and wonderful for any single path of development to be the right one. As if to emphasize her point, the displays showed new data, evidence of other civilizations developing along unique paths, their advances hidden from the consortium's rigid expectations. Some had developed biological technology instead of mechanical. Others had focused on psychic abilities or quantum consciousness. Each represented a different approach to advancement, all valid, all valuable. The consortium's mistake, Wei explained, wasn't in seeking to guide developing civilizations. It was in assuming there was only one correct way to develop. Today, we offer an alternative, a new alliance based on celebrating our differences rather than suppressing them. Throughout the Great Hall, both human and alien representatives began to understand the full implications of this moment. Humanity hadn't just defeated a superior force, they had created an opportunity to reshape galactic civilization itself. Our ships remain in defensive positions. Y reminded them, not as a threat, but as a guarantee. The age of enforced conformity is over. What replaces it is up to all of us, working together as equals. The quantum network carried her words to every world, every ship, every colony across known space. Humanity's message was clear. They had developed in secret not to dominate, but to ensure that no species would ever again be forced to abandon their unique path to the stars. The universe is vast, Y concluded, and its wonders are infinite. No single species, no single approach can hope to understand it all. Only by embracing our differences, by allowing each civilization to develop according to its own nature, can we hope to unlock its full potential. As the assembly erupted in discussion, the displays showed one final image: Earth's fleet, now joined by repaired consortium vessels, forming a new pattern in space. Not a rigid formation of power and hierarchy, but an intricate dance of cooperation and mutual support. Humanity had revealed itself not just as a technological equal, but as something the consortium had never expected to find. A species that had developed the wisdom to match its power. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what humanity had spent decades working to achieve.